I'm Gary Williams. Your reviews help other people find this podcast. If you would, please leave a review on iTunes.
The weird part about Candlelighters is we're never ever giving money. So we are not a cash run organization. When we gift things, we get you hard assets that you need.
Okay.
So refrigerators, mattresses, chairs.
So people can actually look at it and say this particular item or these particular features are things that were given to us by the Candlelighters.
Right.
And that's great.
Coming to you straight from Fremont, California, this is the Fremont Podcast, dedicated to telling the stories of the past and present of the people and places of the city of Fremont, one conversation at a time.
Hello, Fremont. Ricky told me to snap a pine cone and tell you this is episode 90 of the Fremont Podcast.
Now, here's your host, Ricky B.
We are in a dark room with a bunch of lit candles in the back of Jack's Brewery. No, just kidding. We are in Jack's Brewery. There's no candles, but I'm with the Candlelighters, or at least a couple Candlelighters. So Tricia has been on the podcast before because Trisha and Brian are the owners of Jack's Brewery. And you're also part of the Candlelighters.
I am. I have the honor of being the president this year.
Oh, very cool.
Very exciting.
Yeah, it was kind of cool when I found out we were doing the interview with the Candlelighters and your name came up. I was like, wait a minute, I know her. So
From other things,
yeah. And we run into each other all the time around town at events, and we were just talking about that. Yeah. So that's cool. Mm-hmm. And Jeff, this is the first time I've met you. Now that we have met, I realize that we probably should have met a very long time ago.
Yeah.
Jeff, is it Schinkel? Is that
Schinkel? That's right.
That's your last name? Mm-hmm. Awesome. And what is your current role or position at the Candlelighters?
I'm the assistant site person this year.
Okay.
Which the site is responsible for getting all of our trailers and all of that stuff on property and lining up things like fire inspections and food for the work parties and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So.
He's so much more important and cooler than that that I always feel like the title doesn't justify what Jeff is capable of doing. Jeff and I were both co-site people the entirety of COVID. So we couldn't open, and we were just partners in crime in the attempt to open and then backing off, and then can we talk to the city about, no, we can't open yet. So you've been site a long time.
A very long time.
He's been site a long time. In fact, the way that the organization works, the site person would then become president, and technically Jeff was site and I was his assistant, and he was supposed to be president, but because of COVID and some of the things that happened, he's needs to be with his other organization. So shout out to Niles Rotary.
Yeah, thank you for
that. But we're lucky to have him at all, because I know that's a huge commitment, and that kind of just bumped me up in a in surprising fashion.
You jumped wrong, or you whatever it is. Yeah, that's awesome.
So, but we're really we're lucky. Jeff's been at this a while, and we're really our organization's about 100 people.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, 100 people. So I want to talk about Candlelighters. Yes. I was under the impression, for whatever reason, at some point I talked to somebody, and I was under the impression that it was a newer organization, but that is not true. So Candlelighters, when did Candlelighters start?
Started in 1969. The intention was it was going to be a one-year thing. They were trying. There was 5 ladies who started it, came up with the idea as a fundraiser 1 year to build a new YMCA building. And the YMCA building still exists. It's not the YMCA anymore, over on Farwell, right across the street from Irvington High.
Okay.
So they put all their eggs in one basket. The ghost house was up where Ohlone College is now. There was an old, I think it was a winery ruins that were up there, and it was very creepy, old trees and all that stuff. And they went all out. They had, they flew in the star. There was a television show back then called Dark Shadows, which was a soap opera on ABC. And
Barnabas came.
All of us school kids back then would run home. And so they flew Barnabas Collins up there to sign autographs. They picked him up in a hearse from Oakland International and drove him here.
That is
awesome. So it was really cool.
Attention to theme was just spot on.
It was just 5 ladies that like, we need to raise money
and
to
then
start
they
this
gathered
YMCA.
their friends and their husbands and community members and made it happen. So,
Wow.
Still have 2 original members.
Yeah, still 2 original members.
They're still part of the.
Still part of
my
it
goodness.
now. Yeah.
That's cool.
So
That is cool. So that was the we're going to do it 1 year, raise money, and then
all done. They had a big gala dance kind of thing, auction, fundraiser sort of thing, and then the ghost house, and the admission, I believe, was $1. Was it $1? It was $1. Yeah.
It was like it could have even been lower than that.
Could have been less.
I
can't
can't.
remember. I think you could get a discount in a group to like a quarter or something.
Yeah.
But that said, they raised what it took to build that building in that year, and it was a big deal.
And I think they raised like a lot of it, and then I think that's kind of why they thought, well, maybe we should do it again because it needed
more.
a little bit more.
Okay.
That might be true, but I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not.
I'm
sure.
like the last person that would know all the details because I was born in '70.
Wow.
So I'm a little bit behind on the what happened in 1969 part. But
I know that's the way some. I won't say a lot of things happen, but I know that it's reminding me of the way that Airbnb started.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this is a complete rabbit trail, but there's an NPR podcast called How I Built That, and there was. I think it was 2 or 3 guys that moved to Silicon Valley because they wanted to be entrepreneurs, and they had no idea what their business concept was or what they were going to do, but they wanted to be entrepreneurs. And they got to a point where they couldn't pay rent for their apartment, but it was at the same time there was a big convention here in the Bay, and all the hotels were booked up, and there were still people wanting to come to this convention, and they couldn't find a place to stay. And these guys were like, we have some air mattresses and some rooms in our apartment. Why don't we just rent that out? So they built a whole website just to rent air mattresses to these people.
Airbnb.
Yep. And then they and it was a one-time thing. They're like, we need to pay rent this month, so let's create a website. We're good at that. Let's not just do it on Craigslist. And they rented them out, and it paid rent, and then they found themselves in the same position a few months later. So they're like, let's do it again. And then they eventually got friends that were interested in, well, if you guys were successful at doing that, we have air mattresses, we could do it. And the whole story is very fascinating. And maybe if Andrew decides to leave this part on the podcast, I'll link it in our show notes, what episode that was that I listened to. But it sounds the same way. It's like, we'll do it one time, we'll raise money.
See, in my mind right now, I'm thinking scare B&B, and we just let people stay in the ghost house every night for the year. And
my gosh.
That's a brilliant idea. You heard it here, folks.
We get asked all the time, like, they're like, okay, so you love Halloween. I'm all, I sure do. And I legit do way before I even joined Candlelighters. But when we're done, people are like, oh, you should make it a Christmas house. And I'm always like, oh, we could, but we would need a whole nother organization. I always thought if anybody wanted a spin-off, we could.
You have no idea. You have no idea.
So Christmas off it.
So 20 minutes ago, before we started recording this podcast, I said to him, before I knew what Candlelighters was, I thought I would love to turn that house into a Christmas house. And I wonder what would be the opportunity. And he goes, you know what? I brought that. Tell me what you said.
I suggested it once. And the icy cold stairs I got back, I said, I'm not going to go there anymore.
He's like, I'm never going to suggest that
when you
again.
Get down to Halloween,
then I said to him,
right?
I said, what if a completely separate organization came in and said, we'll work with you when you guys are done. We'll set up a Christmas house. And he was like, who knows? It could happen. So,
no, seriously, that's our spin-off.
And you just brought it up.
It's our spin-off plan for later. We're going to spin off. No, it's the perfect location for a ghost house. And as long as, we would have to do some things to make it Christmassy, but I honestly, it always it appeals to me because it's a carriage house, so it was always meant to be more barn-like. And because of that, it has, like, you think about even a Victorian child at the time would be like, creepy barn, that's where spiders live and horses go, and there's not a lot of people. And although remind me, the ghost house is officially haunted.
According to some of our members,
Okay.
it is. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
But it started off at Ohlone College, or at least the location where Ohlone College is now. So, help me get from where it was in Ohlone College that first year to now the Carriage House.
So I am, and I'm probably not the best to ask for this. I can only tell you what I know that I remember. So it was there for I think only maybe 1 year. Then it was at where we meet in Rotary now, Washington West, was a Capwell store back then, that shopping center. It was in one of the empty stores there, and I think they did it there a few years.
Okay.
In fact, the first time I went to it, which was 74, 75, it was there.
Okay.
And then eventually they made their way to where the site is now. So,
Okay. So how long have they been at the Carriage House?
gosh, I'm going to guess 30 years, maybe almost 30, yeah.
But it's had lots of improvements done to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had some of our older members telling me that back when they were there, it wasn't on cement where we build the midway, it was gravel. And so picking like trying to sweep up, like if there was garbage or trash or like the wind would blow, it would just,
oh my goodness,
getting it out of the pea gravel was a challenge. And so but the city came in really nicely, redid that park, I want to say 10 years ago now?
Yeah, I think, it's about 14 because it was the first year we started, I think was the first year
That
we
it
weren't
had
on
been.
gravel anymore.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
But I remember taking my kids with a stroller, and it's like, you can't go anywhere. Gravel, you don't get very far. So.
Right. So, and honestly, the city partners with us. So it is it's a city park.
Yeah.
And then the house is a historic park for the city.
Okay.
And so we have an agreement for the house. And then we have a separate special event permit for the park. So, but the city's been really awesome with working with us in the past. And I know that as they saw that we were opening, they go out and they do a bunch of maintenance for us. And
that's great.
Making it look nice. Yeah. So it's been a really nice partnership. And in turn, sometimes the city is one of our grant recipients. And so some of the things like the train that we drove in the 4th of July was a gift from Candlelighters to them as part of what we do as fundraising.
That's cool.
Yeah, and some of we did a park.
We did the
installation.
original band. The band. What was the band show where the concerts in the park are now? The original Candlelighter Band Pavilion. We had done.
They've since replaced it, and I like the new one too. So,
new one's much bigger.
Yeah, that's cool.
But it's mostly it started out as a fundraising organization, and that's kind of as much as we like to scare and as much as we like to decorate spooky things, and we are super into the spiders and the bats and everything, we're definitely 100% into supporting the local community and all of our nonprofits.
Yeah. We'll be right back. You can hear the rest of this conversation in just a moment.
If you're on the hunt for a realtor who will go above and beyond for you, look no further than Jennifer Petroselli at Petroselli Homes Realty Group. Jennifer's not just an expert in her field of real estate, but she's also super approachable and friendly. She makes the entire process of buying and selling your home easy and enjoyable. So if you're looking for a realtor who knows what they're doing and who genuinely cares about your needs and wants, give Jennifer Petroselli a call. I want to tell you about Milk and Honey Cafe. They serve fresh noodles, stir fries, bentos, soup, vegetarian dishes, boba drinks, and so much more. They're a family-owned restaurant located on Fremont Boulevard in North Fremont. You can find out how to dine in or order at milkandhoneyfremont.com. And for Fremont podcast listeners, if you make a purchase of $50 or more, you get a complimentary Thai tea or a fruit tea with your purchase. If you want to hear more of their story, check out episode 8 on the Fremont podcast. For more information and links, be sure to check out our show notes.
So originally it was to raise funds for YMCA, and then you said perhaps maybe the second year they didn't have enough money, so they were still helping out the
Or maybe
YMCA.
they were someone else was like, hey, you helped us for that.
Yeah.
We have a list of people that have been recipients, but because I think it's every 3 years people can come back.
Yeah.
Some of the groups like HERS Breast Cancer and the Senior Center, and sometimes they change names as the organizations go, and so it's hard for us to pinpoint exactly.
Yeah.
There's not, it's never just one organization anymore. We're donating to, I think there's 9.
about
Wow.
9 or
crayons.
10.
Yeah, so you mentioned hers.
Yeah.
Are there some of the other? What are some of the other organizations
Oh, that was
that
a
you
couple
have?
years back.
Yeah, this year,
Little
what
League
are...
is one.
Yeah.
There is a organization that works out of Kennedy High School,
Yeah.
but it's not through the high school.
No.
He does an after-school for free wrestling clinic for. I mean, the littlest is 5 all the way through high school,
Wow.
and they compete in local organizations, and it's definitely a community
That's cool. That's great.
teamwork,
Yeah.
membership.
Yeah.
There's a debate team out of Union
Yeah.
City. Same thing, definitely. And that was the weird part about Candlelighters is we're never ever giving money. So we are not a cash run organization. When we gift things, we get you hard assets that you need.
Okay.
So refrigerators, mattresses, chairs the breast cancer chairs were the ones that you can get out of without having someone pull on your arms, which were important. The clothing for the debate team, things that they can reuse year after year. I think for wrestling team, it's mats. I think for Centerville Little League, it's the lawnmowers. Over at Palmdale Estates is a park that's open to the public, and they asked for a bike rack and 2 benches because their benches are unstable for some of the people that want to sit there. It's very much hard asset.
Yeah, that's
things.
great. So people can actually look at it and say this particular item or these particular features are things that were given to us by the Candlelighters.
Right.
And that's great. I love
We
that.
did the original seed money for Aqua Adventure Water Park. So one of the slides there, the black and orange one, is the Candlelighters slide.
Oh, that's cool.
So we did that, and we did one this past year for the nursery school
The nursery
co-op,
school.
Fremont Nursery School
They
co-op.
needed a shade pergola for
Okay.
where they eat and play.
Okay.
It's a
Yeah.
sun exposure thing.
That's-
But yeah, and some of the rules are they can't go to just one school or just one organization. It has to be multi-use for the community.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool. So I'm gonna pause there for a second because Jeff, I want to get to know you for a second.
Yes.
Okay.
So let's talk about you for a minute, and then we'll
All
get
right.
back to Candlelighter. So Jeff, you and I were talking before we started recording. You've been in Fremont since the
1972. We moved here.
1972. Okay.
Yeah.
But you're from the Bay Area.
Yeah, grew up over South San Francisco, San Mateo.
Okay.
And then we moved across the bay to Fremont when nobody over there knew what a Fremont was, and so it was not a lot here at that time. We were sort of just at the beginning of the big folks moving here.
Okay.
So,
Excellent. And then I have your card here, and I'm trying to figure out what your main thing in life is.
Me too.
Yeah.
My day job.
Yeah.
Is,
Is this you? Is this you?
That's me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm a cartoonist.
Okay.
Graphic artist, cartoonist, and used to work for the local newspapers, and now I work for it's a newspaper page, an online page for kids called Kid Scoop. And it's in the Tri-City Voice here locally.
Okay.
And I've been doing that since 1999. So
Wow.
25 years.
So, if I can ask, was there a particular inspiration for you to get started in that? Were you, was it just art was an interest to you, or was comics an interest to you, or is I love the fact I grew up watching Charlie Brown, and Charles Schultz I know is from this area. Is any of those inspiring for you?
Yeah, he was a huge inspiration to me as a kid. Everything Disney and Charles Schultz, that was pretty much. I didn't really do the Marvel heroes and all that. I liked Batman on TV, but not really the comics. More the funny stuff, Hanna-Barbera, things like that. Thought I wanted to go into animation until I tried it a little bit, just making flip books, and said, no, I definitely don't want to go into animation. Too much work. But I did, so I just kept drawing and just kept at it. And,
That's awesome.
And went into it as a career eventually. So.
That's really cool.
I did get to be the cartoonist in residence for a couple times up at the Schultz Museum up in
way.
up in
That
Santa
is
Rosa,
awesome.
which was really cool. So that was like a dream come true. So
wow.
I actually talked to on the phone, or have we met in person or not, the real Linus. There was actually a Linus who was a cartoonist. There was a real live Linus, a friend of Charles Schultz, and he used his name in the strip.
Wow.
Did not have a blanket when I talked to him, but he was a cartoonist, super nice
He grew out of
guy.
his blanket.
He grew out of his blanket. I don't think he ever had a blanket, but he got the name anyway. So
That is really
That's
cool.
so cool.
Linus
Yeah.
Mount.
I mean,
Wow.
we're just lucky. I mean, he does all of our art logos and stuff. I mean, he did the children's menu here at the restaurant.
Oh, my
and I don't know if
goodness.
you've seen both
No,
of those.
no.
It's got the little maze and the...
I owe you
Find the
more. I
matching
think I've
one.
only got
Oh
a
my
couple,
gosh! I
but-
have the I have a football one, a baseball one. I feel like I'm pretty well established, and you're so busy. Yeah, but thank you. They're amazing, and
That's
honestly,
cool.
like, and the logo work you did, that voodoo on the bayou. My daughter does a lot of graphic art. She kind of likes to play with like the iPad art and stuff, and she's like, "Mom, I need you to make this black and white for me and take all this stuff out." She thought, "This is really good."
Thank you.
No, it's pretty. He's
No, it's fun
professional.
doing
She's
that.
like,
That's
I couldn't do that. Like,
That's cool.
but lots of practice though goes into that. But no, he came to our elementary school and as one of the speakers for like the career day. So it was really nice.
That's
of him.
awesome.
So thank
That was
you.
fun.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wow. Well, I'm privileged to meet you then. That's so cool. So apart from that, you also are the president of the Niles Rotary Club. Is that
Correct,
right?
yeah.
Okay. And how long have you done that?
Being president in July, and it goes till June 30th when they kick me out. So they do. They have a big demotion and a big party, and they give
Okay.
you, they
Okay.
send
They
you out
roast
the
him.
door. Roast
Oh.
you. Yeah, and they have a lot of material for it. So this is going to be an easy assignment. I can stop now, and they've got an evening easy.
Are you part of that as well,
I'm
or
not.
Okay.
I'm
okay.
always.
working
I
on it,
wanted
but-
to.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to join
Yeah.
a Rotary. I just always thought that
You both
the
should be.
service they do.
Let's-
I know, honestly,
Yeah.
right? You
Yeah.
should be recruiting right here with
Yep,
Ricky.
yep.
Well,
Come on down.
we'll see-
But
we'll see
they
what
do a lot of
happens.
amazing
Yeah.
things in the community.
That's
I just,
cool. That's
really-
very cool. Is there anything else that you do? I mean, not that that's not enough.
No,
I'm
it's
just
enough.
saying.
That's
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Well, I'm-
He's
I'm-
the best grandpa
Yeah,
ever.
I
We should
got
probably
my
talk about
grandkids
that.
and my
What is it? What?
He's the best grandpa ever.
Oh, there you go. There you
Yeah, I've
go.
got
Just
my-
at his kids' drop off.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very good.
Grandkids, yep. Keep
Yeah,
them
that's
busy.
great. That's cool. Well, thank you for sharing a little bit
Yeah.
of that with me. I'm looking forward to getting to know you more over the years, hopefully.
yeah.
That'd be really cool. Very cool.
Recently, my family was trying to figure out what we were going to do for dinner. We wanted a place where we were going to be served good food, we were going to be treated well, and we wanted a good atmosphere. So we decided to go to Billy Roy's Burgers. Not only does Billy Roy's have the best burgers in town, but they've also got great salads, they've got great sandwiches, and they've got great desserts. The service was efficient and friendly, and to top it all off, it's the beginning of football season, and Billy Roy's has more than adequate screens to watch your game. If you're interested in watching football at Billy Roy's, you won't miss a play. If you're looking for a place to enjoy good food and good service, I recommend Billy Roy's Burgers on Thornton Avenue.
I want to hear about the spooky part of everything. So
the
they
fun
went all out first year and brought in movie stars and everything and all that stuff. So I'm embarrassed. I'm asking you guys about this. I have not been to one of the events, so I'm going to have to go this year.
Yeah.
But so tell me about it. It's something you had said earlier that there's a different theme each year, so you guys come up with something new to go with. What kind of themes are we talking about?
Well, this year's Voodoo on the Bayou.
Okay.
We've done, haunted campgrounds. We've done
The web.
haunted castles. We did the web, which was all spiders, which just the sign scared enough people off just for that. And so there's all these themes, and you go through the ghost house. You have two ways to go through. You can go through the scary line or the good fairy line. We offer good fairies, so if you're for little kids or anybody who's nervous, which would be me if I weren't building it, you can go through the good fairy, and the ghouls don't jump out and scare you.
Okay.
And then you go through the scary, of course, and then you're on your own, and
Okay.
the ghouls jump out.
Okay.
And our ghouls are all high school, junior high school kids.
Okay.
Most of the ghouls are almost always from the middle school
Yeah.
and a little bit of the
Yeah.
first, second. Once you get to be 16, you can definitely be a good fairy.
Okay.
And more often work in the game areas and things like that.
Yeah.
The older they are, they kind of do that. But it's just another way to get back to the community because
That's
the
right.
community service hours.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's all. You said you have about 100 volunteers. Is that including?
No, that's just members.
So that's just members that are involved, and then you can and these
Volunteers
other
are-
teenagers that are giving service hours or. added on to that.
Yeah, we're in the hundreds probably every year between
Wow.
adult
And we're
youth
super
volunteers,
lucky,
so.
like adult volunteers come as well. You don't have to be a member to participate. So
Okay.
if you wanted to come down and help us build it, you have an interest in painting or mural stuff. A lot of people that like to make costumes or are really interested in makeup come only once a year, come
Yeah.
and do makeup for people, and then they just take a couple shifts and things like that. So
Wow.
it is just a super fun kind of. It has a little bit of something, I think, for everybody. So you don't have to swing a hammer to come and help us build it. There's a lot of sorting and cleaning, and we have bins of bats and things that need to get distributed out and then gathered back in at the end. There's people that are out in the community looking for donations right now and getting things together. There are people who actively build very spooky things in their garage all year long and then transport them
goodness.
for this. So, and there's always people out there looking for donations and ways to help support what we do. I don't remember which one it was. We had like a lab one with the bubbling beakers. You guys went, 'cause you were in charge of the main room that year.
Yeah, we got the Stanford Research Institute. One of our longtime members was there, and they had a whole container thing that they were getting rid of this old, lab equipment and things. It looked, all stuff you'd see in, the original Frankenstein. Big, beakers and big glass balls and all this stuff. And we were able to bring it in, and we, using blacklight and things, and fish tank bubblers and all that, we created this whole lab that, was just
Wow.
amazing.
Arms would go off while you're in there. It's just
My goodness.
so tense.
Wow.
The scariest thing, honestly, you need to become a volunteer, because the scariest thing is at night when you shut everything down.
Oh, I bet.
So the music is off, the sound effects are off, the lights are off as you go through to lock up. So it's just you and your flashlight, and you're walking past all these things that
Oh,
you've seen,
my goodness.
and it's not
Yeah.
real, or at least
Yeah.
you think so.
Yeah.
But all
And
of
some
a
of
sudden,
the battery op stuff kind of it's like
twitch to
movement
life
jitters or
suddenly.
something.
Yeah. So yeah.
We kind of have a loose theme this year, and it was kind of based on kind of like New Orleans. And so we kind of are
That works, yeah.
kind of rolling a thing. But we've
Yeah.
done the Dark Shadows,
Yeah.
where it's based on something very specific. And then last year it was just witches through time. So different witches in different time
Okay.
periods.
That's cool.
And, because
Yeah.
some people really like the witch aspect. And
Yeah.
I had a cat theme. Like there was a black cat hidden in every room.
Oh, that's right.
So you
yeah.
can
There you
kind
go.
of hunt around and poke. This year, I think it's a lot more.
Which was great for the little kids. It's kind of fun to watch every year. It's kind of a rite of passage where you see kids that have always gone through the good fairy line. And okay,
Yep.
this year they're going to go in the scary line, but they're never like really ready. It's always a little, so they're nervous. And to tell them, okay, we've hidden a cat in every room. You got to try to find it. It takes their focus off of
the
they're looking for the cats.
That's
now,
great.
so they
That's
can go
great.
through.
Yeah. So you just said something that caught my attention that I think you just assumed I knew and I didn't, and I need to clarify for anybody that's listening. The fairy line.
Okay.
And it's like the bunny hill of the spooky house.
Definitely. The best part is anybody that would be there. One of the reasons we put the kids in the house is for safety reasons. So we do dress the kids up, full makeup, full costume, with the theme, and we put them at the exits with flashlights. So in the event that we had to get out, so that's always something that people ask: Am I going to be safe in there? Of course.
Okay.
Following the rules there, but they also will say, "Boom."
At least. Yeah.
At the very least, they will say boom. Or they have a scripted line, and that's what they're supposed to do.
Okay.
But jump scares aren't for everyone, and we appreciate that.
Yeah.
And so what they all do when you say, good fairy, don't be scary, and then all the kids just wave at you in their costumes.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. And so,
That's funny.
And give high fives to little kids as they go by. The good fairies in the last 3 years have had glowing lighted wings,
Okay.
so
Okay.
you can't lose your good fairy. It feels very safe, and definitely it's very much a stroller type event. But there are grown adults that would always do the good fairy. They just want to see what's in there. They super do not want to be
So
scared
the way
about it.
this works is that a child will have a good fairy walk with them, and so when they see the fairy coming, like the kind of
They
like
announce it.
They say,
Good fairy, don't be scary.
okay,
And then
okay.
everybody
They
in
wave
the
their
house
wand and-
knows
yep,
Gotcha.
that
the ghouls stay back.
you've got little peanuts and it's time to be nice.
Sometimes there's little switches if we have something
Okay.
animatronic or something that the good fairy
Turn it
can
off or
stop.
Oh, that
Stop.
one year we
So-
had that. We had pneumatic spider. And I want to just, I mean, when I say spider, I mean like 4x4 table size
Wow.
spider. And it would jump out on an arm. I mean, you have to come.
Yeah.
You've got to
Yeah.
see some of this stuff for yourself.
I think, yeah.
We had laser stuff in there last
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but when things like that are going to jump out, there's a switch. We can almost
turn
always
it-
turn
yeah.
that off for
Yeah.
the good fairy line. And it's a separate line.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
people go through, and usually we send people through with their own group. It's not like you're just in a line with other people. You get your opportunity to be alone in the spooky room.
we
But then when
send-
you get to the good fairies go through, it's like a train. We keep everybody safe in
That's great.
numbers. So
And that's a pro tip on a Saturday night. If you see a giant line and you don't want to wait in the giant line, go with the good fairy line. You'll still see everything.
It's like the fast pass.
Yeah,
at a
exactly.
Great
Very
And
America.
it's I always say it's a judgment-free zone. We don't give anybody a hard time for going through the good fairy line because I would go through the good fairy line.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like
Yeah,
to
that-
scare people. I don't like to get scared.
So I'm gonna, you talk about things, and obviously there's no way that these things can be created from scratch every year. So how much of what you do each year is something that's carried over from previous years that you have in storage, and how much of it do you think is brand new?
So you go into the actual carriage house.
Okay.
That's what we call our main room.
Okay.
And then we attach 2 trailers to it in the back. So
Okay.
you're going to go through 10 other rooms. The room structure in the trailers is always the same.
Okay.
The main room, you can move the walls.
Okay.
But I would say we like from scratch.
Yeah,
Those rooms
pretty
go
much.
back to straight black
Yeah.
for the most part.
Wow.
And
we strike everything at the
goes,
end,
Yeah,
it's gone.
That's
everything in
cool.
there is new. So you never see the same house twice, or even a repeat of the
Okay.
same thing.
Okay.
Like, but I mean, it's hard. I think that the theme helps us with that too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
Like
theme-
we did that one clown one.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like. But that was a whole different setup than we've done in the past.
Yeah.
We changed how everything goes. I think the weirdest one for me was the Scary Land,
Yeah.
which was kind of a play on Disneyland, and we had all the
Oh,
different rides.
nice.
But they made a giant roller coaster like piece
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
main room, and
Yeah, we
it
had a Matterhorn bobsled.
Yeah.
We called the Splatterhorn, of course.
Wow.
And we had a Yeti that jumped out at you, and yeah. So that
I think
was.
the kid in that room sat up from the bobsled.
Yeah, he was in the
Right?
bobsled
It was
with a
like-
skeleton, and he would pop up and down, and
Wow.
yeah, so
That's-
it was a lot of fun, and
But
it's every year basically. It's we reuse props, of course.
Sure,
but
sure.
We have
Yeah.
we have a bunch of props, but people are always
Yeah.
donating stuff, which is
Yeah.
great.
Right.
So it becomes what do you keep, what do you not keep, and that's always a
Right.
it's
Yeah.
always a battle.
And
But-
we have a hard time with that too, because one year we did haunted cruise ship. That was fun.
we did.
I liked that. And the boiler room was the freakiest one of all. But it was like the different rooms. And then we did haunted house party, and I was like, I'm gonna make my room a bathroom, and everyone's like, what? I'm like, yeah. And so people donated like a full actual toilet and actual sink. Like
I
we
didn't
had
know that was your room. Okay, that was a good
sorry,
room.
That was
a
my
good
room.
room.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
I went completely rogue. I don't know that it was. Yeah, it went with the house.
And you had the
right?
little ghoul that popped up out of the bowl, right?
Yeah,
that was
the
yours.
hand? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we do things. But everybody's so creative. I think that's kind of my favorite part is that even candlelighters don't all know what's going on in
Okay.
everybody's room.
Yeah.
And there's always, firstly, lots of little Easter eggs of things that you'll see motif through, because we'll be like, and all of our rooms are going to have it, so it's always fun to kind of see the tie-in.
Yeah.
But for me, like, I don't actually get to see it full done, even doing site where we're in there a lot by ourselves, like closing it all down.
Sure.
Because we're the keeper of the keys that
Yes.
locks it all up.
Yeah.
But I'm always surprised. Like,
Yeah.
to go through it in the line is so different
It
than
is.
to see everything on and operating. And I would, some of those rooms have stuff that unless the electricity's on, you would never even see it. And
Yeah, it's really
like
cool.
Ursula last year. I
Yeah.
mean, that was a whole different room with the effects going on, and we have new effects this year.
Oh,
So
that's
excited.
awesome.
We have all new lighting
All new
this year,
lighting.
which
Okay.
is really looking forward to.
We
that.
try to upgrade a little bit every time.
That's
so.
awesome. Well, I mean, if you have people building stuff in their garage all year and then bringing stuff in, I mean, I can only imagine the kind of features and the works that people put together to make this happen. I mean, this is an all-in sort of thing. This is amazing. Yeah.
We
It's,
take our scaring very seriously.
Yeah, it's got
I think there's some people, and I don't know if it's just Candlelighter or Candlelighter alumni, but I think that there are people in Fremont that just take Halloween seriously, because there's some houses that are like completely
it's
like
become huge.
Oh yeah.
But you did a lot of outreach in the last couple of years. He's been the person that's been like our Facebook presence and a lot of the outreach stuff. And some of the new people coming in are from a couple different organizations that.
Yeah,
Like-
there are folks that have been doing their home haunts and things like that, and would say come and do it here for a bigger audience, and they still do their home haunts and come and do this
they
as
do
well.
that.
Yeah,
That's cool.
And since we're not open Halloween, they get to do their home haunt still. And,
That's cool.
And,
Yeah.
and
And I forget, like there was like there's organizations of ghost houses.
yeah, it's Northern California Haunted Attractions.
Okay.
They're on Facebook,
Okay.
and they've been great to us. They publish this huge calendar of all the haunts that are going on in Northern California.
Wow.
Aaron Hartman is his name. He's great.
Now,
And,
you said something before we started recording. You said something about this particular haunt being significant in Northern California.
We've
What
won-
is that stat?
yeah, we learned from them. So we are the longest running haunt in Northern California.
Wow.
Which was amazing to
That's
find
cool.
out. And so many of the other haunts in the area got they were little kids that came through.
They were inspired
us.
by
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
So I always consider us, we're sort of the haunt with training wheels. People come in, we're scary, but not that scary.
Yeah.
We're not the ones that you're going to need to call the cardiologist after necessarily. It's a little easier, but plenty scary.
Yeah.
But
Family friendly.
Family friendly. That's great. How many people do you see each year? Like, what is the numbers? Do you have any recollection of any of that?
We're getting better at keeping that kind of data.
Yeah.
But because up until last year, we were a cash only event.
Really?
I know.
Okay.
And so for
Okay.
that reason, it's hard to paper count all
Yeah.
the things. But now that we have some electronic stuff and we are taking cards and we continue to do so, we can definitely track a little bit better.
Yeah.
But I think admission numbers is something that we really are
Okay.
collecting.
Well, I mean, when I drive by, it's just lines of people
Yeah.
out there. So, I mean, I don't know how to equate what's.
To put it in perspective, we when it was COVID, we weren't able to open, and we advertised that we were going to have some caramel apples and we were going to sell them basically on the corner drive-through style, just to kind of remind people we still existed was kind of our outreach goal, and kind of just like there are people who are like, but my apple, and I was like, yeah, we can make that happen. And then the city asked us the next year to participate with the Chamber of Commerce, and we did it over at the new Street Eats.
Okay.
Yeah, the first year it was the Elks Lodge.
The Elks
We
Lodge,
set
that's
up and
right.
used their facilities to make them, and we did it over a few weekends. I think.
And then the city let us
Drive-through.
use the Aqua Adventure commercial kitchen, which was lovely.
That's great.
And then we brought it all over there, and we were like, okay, we advertised, we told people we were coming, and I think we made like
500.
yeah, a lot of apples, and we said we weren't going to start selling them until 5 o'clock to be fair to everybody, had a chance to come and get in line in case whatever, and we sold out. I want to say 10 minutes,
Yeah.
and we had to limit everybody per
Oh my
family.
goodness!
As I was
Wow.
driving over with all these apples, and I'm thinking, what are we going to do if nobody shows
Wow.
up?
We were thinking, what are we going to do with
Yeah.
them? That was my big thought too. We're going to have so many apples
Yeah.
left over. Who's going to eat all these apples?
We couldn't get them out of the car fast enough, and then they were gone. And it's like, wow.
And we still hear about how we didn't have enough, and we
Yeah.
we cooked for like hours and
Yeah, it was
hours
all
and
day
hours.
long.
I mean, during when we're open, we set up our own kitchen there, and we make them on the spot. So we're making them and selling them at the same time, and we kind of can keep up with need that way. But I've been on the go pick up the apples from the grocery store line, and that's like 6-7 cases of apples every 2 days or something like that.
Wow.
Our apples they're hand dipped, and they're sort of an attraction in themselves. Now we have people that come from across the bay, out of the Bay Area every year. Tradition.
That's awesome.
To come and get one of the caramel apples.
Oh my goodness!
And I think my kids would kill me if I didn't bring them home at least one time during the season. Right?
Finds out your candle.
You grow up with it, and you're like, but there's candy. Yeah. But everything else, it's funny because like I said, it's kind of got like if you like cooking for people, or you see the joy in people coming in and making caramel apples, and just seeing everybody's little sunshiny face when they get their apple is just, that's a joy.
Oh yeah.
Definitely. There's the ladies that work in the photo booth.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a tradition where we'll let a little backdrop, and you can put on funny glasses and take a family photo, and we'll put it in a little keychain. I think you can get it as a
keychain or a pin. Yeah.
And there are families that have like 50 of them. They have their collection, and
that's great,
spanning out. And so it's one of those things that like we might get lynched if we said we weren't going to do it, right?
Yeah.
Like, and there are people who are very dedicated to it, and there's people who love doing it and love seeing that family aspect.
Yeah.
And then the face painting people just love when the little kids come in and ask for a spider and like want to walk around. And if you love playing with kids, and the ring toss is super fun with little kids. And so as a volunteer, there's so much different that you can do.
Yeah.
And, there's, it's kind of a neat organization for that, too. And a lot of times when you volunteer, everybody does the same thing. And here it's like you can be doing something completely different than another volunteer and still be so valuable to us. So
that's cool.
And it's all, it's super affordable. The prices are really low. I think it's what, $5 to get in.
Oh, that's great.
And then
my goodness,
and then the games are, what is it? It's about $1, I think.
I think it's like we said, 6 tickets for $5 is
Yeah,
kind of how we're kind of rolling it.
So,
and the games, they come with little prizes.
Yeah,
and
if you don't win, you get a little
if you don't
something.
win, you get something. And honestly, it's kind of we call it the midway. If you've ever worked at, like I worked at Great America, you worked at Great America, and they have that midway where the games live anyway. And so it is kind of fun, especially for families who only some of you guys want to go in and get scared.
Right.
The other half are just going to sit out and wait for you to come out of there, and you're in a line. And so it gives the little kids something to do. We have school nights. So that's probably important to mention.
Okay.
So all of the local elementary schools can pick a night to have it be like their night. We dress up and put full makeup on 2 of their staff members.
That's
usually
cool.
the principal or
That's
one other
cool.
teacher. I originally did it as a teacher. That's my first time back in the back was from doing that. And that was the year I became a candlelighter. Okay. So I was a teacher that year, and they dressed me up. And then you walk out, and people go, "Here, hold my 3-month-old baby for this picture." And you're like, "Oh, okay, sure, I'll do that." And you like your own students come up, and they're like, you can tell they're confused. They think they know you. They're not sure, and you can say things like, "Hello, Jason."
They never recognize the teacher or the principal.
That's funny.
Super
It's fun to watch.
I love that.
That's great.
Right?
Slowly dawns on them. Oh my gosh,
Wait a
that's
minute,
my teacher.
yeah.
And the next day, were you at the ghost house? No, I would say yes. But you know what I mean.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah. We've got a popcorn booth, a fresh popcorn. We have a food booth. So, I mean, you can spend
How
an
have
evening
I missed
with the
out
family.
on all of this for 9 years? I guess, well, no, this will be 9 years, so I've missed it.
Small footprint and no advertising budget. So
well, maybe,
it's all word of mouth.
Hopefully people will listen to this and find an opportunity to get out there. So currently there's fundraising going on. You mentioned that people are building stuff in their garage to have displayed at this. When are you on site?
So starting actually as we record this tomorrow. We begin tomorrow. We're there every Saturday from 8 to noon.
Okay.
So, we welcome people to come down and help.
Yeah.
We provide lunch afterwards. And if you like building
Donuts,
stuff,
coffee.
donuts
Nice.
and coffee.
Nice.
And so we do that for 5 weeks, 6 weeks,
4 to 5.
Yeah.
It depends on how. Some things take longer than others. Last year we did it in 3, and I have no idea how.
I don't know what happened. Yeah.
Wow.
It was a miracle.
The first week we just had a ton of people show up, so we were way ahead of schedule somehow.
Right.
That never happens. But
and honestly, please come out.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to sign up to come out and volunteer if you want to paint as an adult. Kids, we have to cap it with a ratio. So if enough adults stay, then we can have more kids. But with the members that we currently have, if you just want to drop your kid off, we'll definitely give them community service hours, but we can take only 20.
Okay.
And that is hard.
Yeah.
I hate to cut that line.
Yeah.
But we can't have more than 20 unsupervised under 18-year-olds.
Okay.
Yeah. But a lot of times the parent was like, well, I can stay too, and I'm all sure. And it becomes a family thing.
That's great.
And we've got a lot of volunteers the last couple of years that were like, I like doing that, and then they come back the next year like, that was fun, let's do that one again. So
it becomes a family tradition or something.
Yeah,
That's really
and then
cool.
soon enough they all become we always hope
That's how we get them.
That's awesome.
how we
That's
always
awesome. And then this year it opens on Friday the 13th.
Which is super cool.
That is super cool. Just like way to just stick
worked
in your
out that
mind,
way,
right? And ironically, well, not ironically, just blessedly, I guess, it's a day off for FUSD students, which is really
that's
strange.
good. That
and
is.
It just happened that the last 2 years when they changed the calendar and they moved it up into August when we start, the school calendar happens to have a teacher work day that a lot of schools elect to do in the summertime and do the extra day in the summer. And so gloriously, I have a day off of school. And so does every student
That's awesome.
in Fremont Unified on Friday the 13th.
That's
so we're
awesome.
hoping they
That's
come
cool.
out. I hope they come out and kind of like show us a
Yeah.
little love in the Halloween department and start thinking about, I don't know, pumpkin spice everything and get your sweater on. And hopefully it's not 1,000 degrees.
We do a kids costume parade.
Okay.
Which is, I forgot the date this year. It's on a Saturday.
Hold up.
But we always do that, and there's prizes and for different age levels, and we have
It's like you said, a costume parade.
costume parade.
Okay.
We parade around the
Costume
grounds
parade
there.
is October 21st.
21st at
Okay.
We
1.
also do a lights on tour. If you are like the good fairy will not help me, or you just really like the behind the scenes look,
Yeah, that's
we'll
cool.
turn the lights on and we'll give you the full tour as a thing. I think it's the same day as the kiddie parade from 2 to 3.
Yeah,
Right
that's
before we open to the public, people run through.
So if you have real little ones,
Yeah.
babies, things like that,
Yeah.
that you know are going to not like
you
being
want
in
to
the
see,
dark.
but you want to carry your infant.
Yeah, and if you're
Yeah.
just interested in how it all works, it's just
That's
kind
cool.
of a
Yeah,
neat
if
way
you
to
want to
see
see
it.
the pneumatic
Maybe
arm.
I'll come do a behind the scenes tour with you guys
Ooh.
just to
That
kind of
would
like
be
just kind
so
of like really
fun.
fun. Yeah, that'd be
Do
Do a
Be
fun.
super
walkthrough,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely always happy to show people
Sure.
what we've got going on. And
Well, I mean, you put so much work into it. It's like, when you spend so much time on it, and and it is worth it when everyone goes through and they have that experience. But I think that I've worked. So I used to do theater years ago, and so I'd spend a lot of time on a particular a set piece, and it was used in one moment in a particular show. And it's just like, you don't know everything that went into making that actually do what you wanted it to do in that moment. And so you kind of take pride in being able to have the creativity to come up with something like that, and then to be able for it to actually do what you wanted it to do. So, I mean, for me, it was like, yeah, come take a look at this. So, it's like, I want you to...
doing a room is one of my favorite parts.
Yeah.
I do not get to do a room this year
Oh.
myself,
Do I,
right?
yeah.
And that's
But you're
where,
the president,
so,
right?
Yeah, but no, I got to pick the theme, so I feel honored in that way. But Jeff has been in the past in charge of the main room, and that big first look is super I think that's really rewarding to have everyone come in. You hear that first scream.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's the best part for
That's
me.
cool.
Yeah.
I like the screams, and my favorite part is to stand at the exit ramp, and when people are coming out and they're laughing, and you jump, no, I didn't, and it's kind of fun to see that.
Not to give you more work, Jeff, but I'm just imagining another thing that people could take away. If you had a small comic book of each of the rooms, and that you wrote.
Oh my gosh!
And that you actually did a comic book that people could purchase after they left, and that would remind them of that year, that theme of that year, and be kind of cool.
It would be.
A little coloring sheet.
There you go. Yeah, it would be.
I'll just say it would be.
Hopefully somebody will do that someday.
So any of you cartoonists listening,
into sheet, and maybe very loosely done. But yeah, I
That's
think
great.
honestly,
That's awesome.
it's just been
it's
really
a
great.
very rewarding thing, and my wife and I spend time together doing it.
That's great.
It's great.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's just been a name that I've heard float around Fremont, and then I've seen them in the 4th of July parade. I've not been to the house, so that's going to have to change.
Change that this year.
We'll have to make that happen. So, and I want to encourage anybody else. Yeah, if you are in the Fremont community or in the surrounding area and you've not come out to this, what a great thing to enjoy this year. And you guys obviously love what you do, and it's a big thing. And you pour a lot into it. So I think it'd be a shame for people to miss out on that. So.
Thank you.
Yeah. Is there anything else that we need to know? Yeah. I mean, anything else we need? I mean, I don't want to miss anything.
I know. I keep kind of like, I'm thinking. I think one of the things that people find surprising when you're not from here is that we aren't open on Halloween.
Yeah.
And you mentioned it earlier, but maybe that's a good drive home, because I know some people that'll drive out from Manteca or wherever with their families to get scared, but we're home with our own families on Halloween,
doing
and it's kind of a
trick or
thing
whatever,
that we do to guarantee our volunteers. And also, we're not trying to rope you in so you can't do your scare at home, right? So that not being open on Halloween kind of
makes sense.
Yeah,
is one
a lot
of those
of
things
schools
that people
and churches
forget.
will do things at night, so we just sort of it works for everybody for us not to.
Wow, that's cool. Well, Tricia, Jeff, thank you guys so much for joining me on the podcast. I hope that a lot of people hear about this and are able to get out there and enjoy it this year. I appreciate all the work that you do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. Happy Halloween.
This episode was hosted and produced by Ricky B. Scheduling and pre-interviews by Sarah S. Rachel Prey is the print editor in charge of our newsletter. I'm Gary Williams. Andrew Cavett is the editor. Music provided by Soundstripe.com. Be sure to subscribe wherever it is that you listen so you don't miss an episode. You can find everything we make, the podcast, our newsletter, and all of our social media links at thefremontpodcast.com. Join us next week on the Fremont Podcast.
I have this toy that's in my garage. I have a 1-year-old, and I have this toy in my garage. And I don't know what kind of sensors the creators of this toy put in there. But it doesn't even have to just be touched. I don't even know. Like, I will go in my garage at night, and all of a sudden it'll like, haha, welcome to, and I'm like, what is going on?
That would make an excellent theme, like possessed toys.
Toy
is
room.
actually one of the absolute fears
all right,
that I
call
have.
everybody up. We're not doing voodoo in the bayou.
Oh yeah, let's turn that one off. No, I got to pick the theme this
You
year.
could do Toy Gory instead of Toy Story.
I like it. That's good.
I love
all
that,
right.
actually. See, you
Toy
got the
Gory.
idea right away.
All right.
So.
This is a Muggins Media podcast.